This conference will now be recorded.
In the previous class, we talked about the AWS IAM services and it's an identity access management service, which basically provides you all the user related things. Okay, so if any user required any certain access, so how to create a user, we discussed that. How that user can access the AWS console, those things we discussed. Then the next thing is how to use rule or like when in what case the role is something we use it. So it's simple that when two services, okay, the AWS two services wants to access each other, in that case we need to create a role and we need to attach a role. Okay, so that's something we learned yesterday, and then we can again fine grain customize the actual policies and how to do that. So you can use something like a policy generator or like in fact in the policies creation, okay, there also we have that option, the same option we have actually. So there's no need to actually go on the policy generator also. So it's the same option, so there from there also you can generate a policy. So with this way, we can generate a custom policy. We can attach that policy or the permissions with the role, and then further role can be attached to any of the service like EC2, S3 bucket. Okay, and that's what we have done. So that was something the insightful session that we had yesterday, and now today we are going to start with something like AWS network services, under which the very first thing we are going to talk about the AWS VPC. So we are going to create one infrastructure, and that infrastructure has to be with the best practices. Okay, so that's something here we will take care of. So what we are going to do now is we are going to create one infrastructure, and as far as that infrastructure, the very first resource, we had a little bit introduction in the prerequisite. So I want you guys to recall that, and with the help of that we will continue further. So it is the very first resource that we will be creating is a VPC. Okay, that is the virtual private cloud. So VPC is nothing but it is the isolated space, or you can say the isolated boundary that you said to the AWS that this is going to be my boundary, and within this boundary you will be creating the all the resources. Okay, so you create a RDS, you create a EC2, you create a number of services like a security group or whatever. Okay, all those gets created in certain boundary. So that's the reason it's always you need to provide that in which VPC you are creating the resources. Okay, so it's like a, I always give the analogy, it's like a hollow box that you are creating within the cloud space. Okay, now VPC is what it is, a region specific. Okay, so you tell to VPC in which region you're creating it. So in my case, I'm going to consider the example of Mumbai. You can consider any example as per your choice. Okay, so VPC is region specific. So again, like what is meant by that? So let's say you have created one VPC, can you use it in other region? The answer is no, right? So you cannot get the same VPC in the probably in US is one North Virginia, okay, like that. So I'm going to create one VPC in the Mumbai region. And one more thing here we require, that is the IP pool. Okay, that what IPs you would like to consider for your VPC. So again, you can choose any IP pool range from the private IP pool range. Okay, so you have a choice of choosing what IP pool you would like to go with. But do remember, these are the only private IPs here you can choose. Okay, you cannot choose something, let's say 123 series or anything like that. Okay, it has to be the private IP, and you can Google those private IPs. So I'm going to choose the 10 dot series, and here, for example, I'm going to consider 10.10.0.0 slash 16. Now slash 16 is the maximum pool range you can have it as a IP pool. And what is meant by that? So basically, slash 16 means this 8 bits and this 8 bits are going to reserve, and only this and this can vary. Okay, as in pool. Okay, So we will get the possibility of the 2 raised to 8 plus 2 raised to 8. I mean the 2 raised to 8. So those many possibilities we get. Okay, so it's a 256 into 256. Those many possibilities we get as a IP, and it would be the 2 raised to 16 basically. And 2 raised to 16 is you calculate, guys. Okay, so it's a 65,536. So those many IPs will get it. Okay, so in general, it's like a very big pool that we are creating, and this is the maximum permission we have it when it comes to the creating the VPC. So maximum slash 16 is something you can go, go and create the pool of this big pool you can create. So we are creating the biggest pool, you can say. Okay, if you're saying slash 16 means what? You're creating the VPC with the biggest pool. Uh, that's what you're saying here. Fine. Next thing is that further we have to create a subnets. Okay. Now subnet is what? It's a subset of the VPC. And yep, so here you'll be creating inside that VPC, you'll be creating a subnet, and subnet is what? Subnet is like, you're creating the partition, okay, of your VPC. And why you're creating this partition? Because I just told you that VPC is the regional level resource, and whichever the resource you create, like EC2 or any of the other small resources, so those gets created at the AZ level. Okay, so you have a region concept, and within the region you have a AZs. So in case of Mumbai, okay, in case of Mumbai has three AZ. Okay, Mumbai has three AZ, so it is going to be like this way: AZ1, AZ2, AZ3. And how AWS recognize those AZs, like what name they gave it to it. So for just simplification, they just keep it very simple. Okay, so in case of Mumbai, the code for Mumbai is what? It is AP South 1. So here they're gonna say AP South 1A, okay, AP South 1B, and AP South 1C. Okay, just alphabetical order. Okay, so in case of, let's say, North Virginia, it is 6. They have the 6 AZ. Okay, so it is going to be the 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. Okay, like that. Just put the alphabet, and that's how you will be increasing the number of AZs. So in Mumbai we have the 3 AZ. So we will at least create 3 subnet. Now how many subnets we can create? It's up to you guys. Okay, you might create a 6 subnet. Okay, like in each AZ you would like to create 2 subnets, one public and private in this AZ, one public and private in this AZ, one public and private in this AZ. Like that also you can do it. In this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider creating the 3 subnets, and we have this. This is what I'm just like assuming this is going to be our subnet 1A, and we can give some name as per that. Okay, so when we create a subnets, so during that time we also consider few of the best practices and the naming. Okay, while giving the name to your subnets is also a good, the it's like we have to think practically. So in VPC, let's say VPC name, we have given something like a web app. Just assume it. Okay, usually we give something like application name or something for your VPC. VPC name could be anything. We are giving here the web app as a name to VPC. Then subnet name, I would like to keep it with similar like your VPC. So here I'm gonna say web app subnet, and important thing, I'm going to put the suffix, that is the 1A here. So by looking at the your subnet name, okay, by looking at the your subnet name, in which AZ it is, we just get the understanding. So because this subnet we are creating in the 1A subnet, okay, because this particular subnet we are creating in the 1A AZ, I'm putting the 1A here so that when we will be creating the your subnets, so by looking at the name, we'll get to know that yes, one name is that this subnet belongs to the one AAZ. Okay, so here similarly, I'll be giving here the one B name, one C name like that. Okay, that's the one thing. Second thing, here the most crucial part is that we have this particular VPC spool that is 10.10.0.0/16. So that's my VPC, and I have to convert this big pool into the small pieces, and for that purpose, we call this thing as a subnetting. Okay, we need to, because for each subnet we have to give this pool. So this big pool we have to convert into the small pieces, and I can do it like this way: 10.10. And here I can say because 00, so I can either go and say 1.0/24. That could be the one example I can have. /24 means that this thing, and this thing is going to remain constant, and only last field can vary. Okay, so last field can vary from 0 to 255. So that's the first IP pool we are considering here. Then second pool is going to be like this way: 10.10.2.0/24. Or let me write it vertically. Okay, so it's consuming a space. I cannot write horizontally. So my first pool, I just want to cut this big pool into the small pieces. I can cut it like this way, that 10.10.1.0/24, then 10.10.2.0/24, and third pool I would like to consider 10.10.3.0/24. So this is the way with which we can simply cut the big pool into the small pieces, and like till how much it can go, like 1 2 3. In fact 0, we also have the 0. Okay, 10.10.0.0 also we can use. So that's the first one, then second, third, fourth. Okay, like that we can go up to 10.10. We can go up to 10.10. Here like 2 3 4 5 6, like that we can go up to 255.0/24. Okay, so we can reach out to this particular number. So this is the way with which we can convert the big pool into the small pieces, and we can have the in total, like if you wish to, we can total create a 255 subnets. Okay, in this particular, like the we have considered a /16 pool, so we can create a 255 subnets, and in each subnet, okay, in each subnet we are using the /24, means that here we have the 0. This field can vary, so we can have the 255 IPs. Okay, in each subnet we can have the 256 IPs, 0 to 255, that is the 256 IPs. And again, like first and the last IP we cannot use, and 3 IPs that AWS keep for itself. So in total, like 0 to 255, we get the 256 IP. But again, within that, the first and the last IP you cannot use. Okay, now that's a very universal rule you have. So first and IP, last IP we cannot use. And again, AWS reserve the 3 IPs for its own purpose. Okay, so that's it. Then you get the 256 minus 5. You will get the 251 usable IPs in each subnet. Okay, 251 IPs you will get in each subnet. So that's how this IP calculation you have to do. Now it might happen that you don't have much understanding all of this, that how I have converted this big pool. Yes.
Small dot. You are saying that 10.10.0.0/24 we can't use. Is it so? That what you are saying?
10.10.0.0, yes, we can use it.
But
Slash
you
21.
said 0 and 255 we can't use.
So what this figure I put it, the last digit. Okay, here when I say, let's say if I'm considering this single subnet, so if I tell 10.10.1.0/24, so here I'll have the IP that starts from 10.10.1.0, then 10.10.1.1, then 1.2, 1.3 like that. So here 0 like 10.10.1.0 and 10.10.1.255. Okay, so these IPs cannot be used. These IPs cannot be used like 0 and 255. These IPs cannot be used. The first and the last IP.
Okay,
Okay,
last digit before the slash 0 and 255 we can't use.
so in this pool, this is the first IP 10.10.0.1.0. This is the first IP. So 0, wherever you see a 0, the first IP of the subnet and the last IP of the subnet we cannot use, because this thing we call something called as a network IP, and the last IP we called as a broadcast IP. Okay,
Okay, Amal. So for this, you have written here 255 subnets, no? 4 subnets you have written. So from there we can start from 10.10.0.0 slash 25. Starting IP can be that, no, right?
so within you have to just provide the subnets here. Okay, you just have to provide the subnets here. It is the AWS is the one who is going to choose the random IP from this particular pool. Okay, so this is what the pool we are saying. So from that pool, the AWS is not going to take this 1.0 IP and 1.255. So basically, it's like AWS is not going to use that. You just have to give the IP pools to the AWS. Okay, that's it. But AWS is not going to use that IP. That is the 1.0 and like a 0 and a 255 at last. Okay, so those IPs are like we cannot use.
No, Amul, left side you have written, no? Here 10.10.0.0 slash 16 and at down you have written 4 IPs, right? 10
Those are
dot.
not IPs. Okay, those are not IPs. So that's what I'm saying. This is a VPC pool.
Okay.
Okay, this is a big pool you have. So from that big pool, we are cutting that big pool into the small pieces. So here slash 16 big pool you have, then that big pool we have converting into the small pieces like this one, and this one. So like that you can cut that big pool into the 255 subnets. So this is a very big pool you have. So from that big pool, you are cutting that big pool into the small, like 10.10. In fact, here you have first one 10.10.0.0 slash 24. So that's your first pool. Okay, this second, this third, this fourth. Okay, like that. Here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can reach out to 255. So in the total, you will have the 256 subnet, 0 to 255.
So this is called pool, not IP. Here
Yes,
what
this
we
is
have
pool.
written is called pool.
Yes, this is pool. Yes, subnet pool.
10.10.0.0 slash 16 will be also a pool. We can call it our IP.
This is a VPC pool. This is a VPC pool of IP. Pool of IP is like the swimming pool. It's a big pool, and you are taking that. You are making the partition into that. Okay. So IP
Oh,
is something like, let's say it's like a glass of water. That is your IP. Okay.
okay.
Just telling you the analogy. Like, okay. So I know this
No,
I
small
the
doubt.
you
Small.
yeah yes. Just let me first of all
Uh,
finish. So
okay, Amal. Okay, okay.
yeah, I know this is something the topic, the subnetting, and this topic always troubles you a lot, guys. Okay, so that's the reason I have created that one video. I want you to watch that video first, because without that, you won't be able to, get what I'm saying here with respect to these all things. This is something networking topic. Okay, whatever I'm discussing right now, this something has to be known by the CCNA, CCNP guys. And as a DevOps engineer, you don't have to go into very deep dive to understand each and every concept here. But again, like a lot of people always get a question around this. This is the reason I have created this video. Okay, I'll just show you the which video here I'm talking about. So on YouTube channel, on my channel, like if you go there, so Amol, you just search something like, let's say, Amol Reddy DevOps, something like that, and on this particular page, on this is what my channel is. So on this particular page, Here, if you go to the video section, or in fact click in playlist, I have created two videos on IP address. Okay, so these are the two videos here I'm talking about. So you should be watching this one. Okay, like first one is the IP address, in which I have explained you about the public and the private IPs, and the whatever I just spoke now, the the first IP, last IP we cannot use because these are the standard rules. And second one here, why, like how to do the subnetting and all, like how to convert that big pool into the small. So this is something, both are the videos that you should be watching. Like you first of all watch it, because with the help of these two videos, you will get understanding on how to convert the big pool into the small pieces. Okay, here I have taken two examples to explain you that. So I want you guys to watch this video, so you'll get a complete understanding. If you want, I can just share you the link with you. Okay, so that's what something I want to discuss. Yes, Sushila, you're saying something.
Yeah, Amal. In the first class, we have talked about dedicated host, no? So that on one server only all the resources gets created. Uh, then what is the difference between VPC and dedicated host? Rather than taking dedicated host, we can take VPC only, no?
VPC, when we create the resources in general, so AWS is not creating the all resources at one single server. All of the resources what you see, those are the created in a discrete manner. Okay, you see that VPC is like a, when I say it's like a virtual boundary. Okay, virtual boundary, that doesn't mean that you're creating the all the things at a one rack or one like a box you're placing your resources. It's like just a virtual boundary. Okay, it's just an identity mapping happen there. Let's say you're creating one, just assume that, for example here, we're talking about the AZ1. Okay, AZ1, and AZ1 is place. Okay, now I know little bit Mumbai, because I belongs there, so I know where is the AZ1. Okay, so in Mumbai there is one place called as Thane. Okay, and one is the Andheri. Okay, so as far as I know, AZ1 and AZ2, they have there. Now where is AZ3? I don't know. Okay, but yes, in Mumbai they have at some location. So in Thane, there's one place where they have like almost, I think, three buildings they have. So all of these three buildings they have placed the data center, and on each floor they have the their buildings are like somewhere 12 to 12 floors, and each building, or like on each floor, they have the server's place. Okay, so when you say that you are creating the resource, so it might happen that even though you are creating one resource in within one VPC, so here inside this rack at some place, so you're taking the very small portion of the EC2 machine you're creating here, and still you have mentioned, so AZ1 means what? This total thing is AZ1. So when you are creating the second resource, so it might happen that in some other building, on some lower floor, you are creating the other resource. Okay, third resource you are creating, so it might happen in the second building on the first floor, like sorry, first floor, it is getting created. So when you're creating the resources in the AZ, so they are not bounded, or they are not meant that you're creating because you're creating in one account. That doesn't mean that it will get created like with very near to each other. Okay, so it is something like that. Okay, you get the point.
Yes, Amal.
Yeah, so something like that you can just assume.
Okay, Amal, got it.
So the next thing here, let's get back on the topic. Now, Gurdeep, I know you have that again query with respect to the subnetting, but I would recommend you to watch that particular two videos first. And still, if you have any questions, okay, let me know tomorrow. Okay, those two videos will make you, will give you a lot of understanding with respect to the IP. Okay, so and that's something not a part of like core DevOps. Okay, we have to do something extra activities. I can explain here, but that would be simply wastage of the session. We have to learn so few the more concept. Okay, so that's the reason. Please watch those two videos, and then after that, like reach out here to anything help you required. Okay, we'll solve it together. So that's something here I want to talk about, as in converting the big pool into the small pieces. So by this example, like we have already considered the IP pool. So let me write it here. Okay. So the very first pool, we will have the IP pool as like 10 dot 10 dot. Here I can either start with 0 or let's say 1.0. So 1.0 slash 24 is the first pool I'm considering. Then 10 dot 10 dot 2.0 slash 24 is the second thing I'm considering. And 10 dot 10 dot 3.0 slash 24 is the three of the pools that I'm going to consider. 1A, 1B, 1C. So these are the three subnets we will create. And apart from that, what else we required? Yes, the AZ, we have already mentioned AZ. For first subnet, AZ is going to be 1A. For second, AZ is going to be the 1B. And for third subnet, AZ is going to be the 1C. So we required three details. Okay, this subnet, that is a name, your CIDR value, and this 1A, 1B, 1C. Okay, so we know this many details, and with this detail, let's go and create a AWS and AWS VPC and a subnet together. Okay, now subnet, you can create as per your choice. Okay, in organization, you create few of the subnets as private, few of the subnets as public. So that concept we have to learn yet. Okay, like we just create a subnets normally, and then further we discuss that whether you'd like to go with the with the private subnet or public subnet. You decide it later. So that's what we will discuss the next. But let's go and create the first of all VPC and the subnet. Okay, so on this page I'm gonna look for the VPC. Okay, so right now, in fact, I'm on the VPC page. So you will just search for VPC, and then here this is the place you will reach out, and this is a dashboard we have. So you can just go through this dashboard to have understanding. These are the few of the things we have. Further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the your VPCs. So there right now I just have one single VPC, and in your case also most likely the same case you will have it, because this is the VPC which we have it as a default VPC. Okay, so that's a default VPC we have, and in fact you can see default VPC written as yes means what? This is my default VPC I have. So you can create the 5 VPCs per account. That's a normal quota you have within one region. Okay, within one region you can create one VPC. I mean the 5 VPCs per region. So that's a normal quota you have, and if you wish to increase that quota, you can go and increase it. Okay, so you just need to raise a ticket with the AWS support team, and that support team will increase the quota for you. So that's one thing. Second thing is, here you need to create a VPC. Okay, here you need to create a VPC. So how you can create it? Just click on create VPC. Then further, here you need to provide a name for your VPC, and yeah, name for VPC is going to be the, let's say, now it's up to you, right? So what I said here, web app. Okay, so let me put the web app as a VPC name. It's asking me for putting the CIDR value as what is a pool. Okay, so this place we are going to put this CIDR value, that is a 10.10.0.0 slash 16. So this is the pool value that I'm going to consider here. And IPv6, I'm not considering IPv6 anything. Okay, let's go and say create VPC. So that's it. Okay, creating the VPC is a very easy job to do. You just require two things to know: in which region you wish to create. Okay, so at this moment you see that I have already selected the Mumbai region, so that's the reason this VPC also gets created in the Mumbai region. Second thing, I have here the VPC pool. And yes, that's something we know already. So it was easy for us to create a VPC. Okay, now generally, something, the VPC pool and IPs, you'll get it from somebody who is senior. Okay, because the VPCs are something, those are the predefined thing. Okay, you cannot just go and randomly select any number as per your choice. You need to understand that what are the other VPCs have already considered the pool. So you most likely choose something else. Okay, so that's the reason here you understand what the other VPCs have taken the pool, and then after that you choose it. So most likely you have something called as network architect or few of the people, those can help you to decide what IP pool you have to go with. So that's the one thing. Second thing here, you have to create a subnets. Okay, within this VPC you will be creating subnets. So we have this detail, like this is the name, this is IP pool, okay, and this is the easy we have, right? So with these three details we can very easily create a subnet. So let's go and create the subnets now. So here I'll go and click on subnets. Okay, and as you can see that here the same way, like for within your default VPC you have the subnets created. Okay, within like this subnets what you see right now, those are associated with your default VPC. Okay, so we have to create again few more subnets in your custom VPC. Okay, so just click on create subnet. Now in which VPC you wish to create resources. So right now you have just created the web app VPC, right? So this is the one I'll be choosing it. Subnet ID. Okay, so subnet name here you can provide that is a web app. Web app and subnet 1A. So this is the name I'm saying. I'm just keeping. In which AZ you would like to create this particular subnet. So it is going to be the 1A. Okay, and the next thing is the CIDR block is VPC. Okay, so that's a VPC CIDR block. Yes, it is a 10.10.0.0/16. Just keep that as it is. Then this is a subnet CIDR block. Okay, so within this pool, what is the next pool you would like to consider? So here I'm saying 10.10.1.0. So just put that one, 10.10.1.0/24. And you guys can see that automatically here it's just like showing you the value that is 256, right? So the last octet is going to vary from 0 to 255. So 0 to 255 is 256 IPs. Here you get it. Okay, and then here you can say create subnet. So that's how you're done with the creation of the first subnet. Still you have to create the two more. So let's create the two more. I'll click on create subnet. Just go with the flow again. Web app subnet name. Here you're gonna say it's a web app subnet 1B. Easy. Preference is going to be the 1B. Your CIDR block, it's going to be the 10.10.1, no, here 2.0/24. Okay, and finally you can say create subnet. And you guys know how to create subnets, right? So 1B is also done. Let's create a third one also very quickly. So we just need to know these three things: your VPC, your subnet name, what you would like to give. So let's say it's a web app subnet 1C, and AZ is going to be the 1C. Here subnet CIDR block, you would like to keep it 10.10.3.0/24. Okay, and finally you're gonna say here create subnet. So yes, here we are done with the creating all the three subnets. And if I just remove this filter, you can see 1A, 1B, 1C, all the three subnets creation is done. So that's how the subnet creation, VPC creation is easy, but it just, you should be knowing these details, that whatever here I just explained, the three details. And the critical one is to understand what IP is going to come. Okay, so that's what here we have done. So is this understood to you all? Any questions, guys, here with respect to AWS and VPC?
So Amol, is this the flow that we always perform in our day-to-day tasks, like manually creating the subnets?
You don't require to create a subnets daily, okay?
Mhm.
But yes, it is essential to know, if you know how those are created. So when you're working with the AWS VPC and subnet, so you will have clarity about how each subnet works, how each subnet is created. So that because VPC and subnets resources are bounded with each and every other services. So you should know how they have created you if you want to check any details. Okay. So if I give
Okay.
example, let's say you're creating the simply resources again and again in one particular AZ. Over a period of time, the IPs for those subnets got exhausted. So you should know that what is the pool, with what pool those IPs created. You need to check the details. So VPC creation, as I mentioned, we can just have the limited quota of the file per region. So it's not something we create it daily. Okay, but when we have to start with a new project, or when we have to deploy complete new project in one particular VPC, so in such case we go and create the subnets. Until unless we have requirement, you don't go, like, you most likely you'll be creating the resources in your existing VPC, but the custom VPC. Okay, so like here you already have one VPC created, that's a default VPC, but we don't use the default VPC in real time. We always create a custom VPC by like you create your custom VPC, and then further you do the deployment, like so you create a resource inside that. So yeah, did I
Thank
answer your
you.
question? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now here we are done with the VPC and the subnet creation, and yeah, so let's move ahead. Okay. So that's the one thing here we have done so far. That's the one thing here we have done so far. That VPC creation and subnet creation is something we have done. Now let's talk about creating the private and the public subnet. Okay, so here while creating subnets, you actually don't mention anything with respect to private and the public subnet. But in general, like when we create resources, the subnets. Okay, so we always have the plan in your mind that these subnets are going to be the private one, these subnets are going to be the public one. Okay, we have something to plan in mind. Now, what is meant by the, first of all, private and the public subnet? Okay, what is meant by the private and the public subnet? Let's discuss that first. Okay, so in general, when we create the resources here, okay, in our example, we have the the three AZ, like we have the three AZ, so we have created the three subnets. Okay, in each AZ, we have the subnets, and you can create a multiple subnets also. Okay, so let's say here we have the one AZ. So within one AZ, you can have put the one public subnet, one private subnet, like that. You can just create it as many as, right. So where we have created three, you can create a six also. Okay, but what is different between this private and the public subnet? So basically it is just that, let's say, in the first subnet, now we are going to launch one EC2 server. Okay, we are going to launch one EC2 server here. So how you would like to have this server? Okay, whether you want that somebody from outside, okay, like let's say via your laptop, you would like to go and connect to your EC2 machine. Is that your requirement is? Or let's say on this EC2 machine, or let's say you create one more EC2 server, and here you are keeping your website. Here you put a web application, and the people around the globe, you just want them to connect directly to your EC2 machine, and they should be accessing your application directly. So is that your requirement is? If your answer is yes, okay, if your answer is yes, So in that case, you can go and create the things in the private subnet, the public subnet. Public subnet, creating the resource in the public subnet means what? That here within this particular public subnet, okay, within this particular public subnet, you are, you are going to place the resources like this way, and from outside you can connect to those public resources directly. Okay, now that's about the, this is about the, you're connecting from outside to your servers directly. Okay, so that's the one thing. Okay, that's the one thing. Second thing, that you might have a requirement that, you create the EC2 server or any of the other resources, but those shouldn't get publicly accessed directly. Okay, those should not get accessed publicly, and those resource we can call it as a private resource, like a private. So you don't want them to be available publicly, and that's what we call it. So those resources will be creating in the private subnet. So we can have something, the scenario in this, like we will consider example that the first subnet we would like to keep it as a public one, okay, and other two we'd like to keep it as a private one. So that just I am example considering, okay. And like how we can differentiate this public subnet and private subnet, we are going to discuss ahead. But at this point, just try to understand private, the name itself is telling, right? It's a private. People cannot access from outside. Public means what? It's a public. Public can access from outside. So that's a major difference we have between the public subnet and the private subnet. Now, how exactly that difference, comes here technically, like when we talk about technically, how we distinguish between the public subnet from the private subnet is basically with the help of the route table. Okay, we have something called as a route table as one of the resource. So route table is one resource that's actually get created when your VPC gets created. Okay, so when you create a VPC, along with that VPC, you also have one route table resource gets created. Okay, now that's one thing you have, and then there's one more thing we are actually left with talking about, which is the internet gateway. Okay, now internet gateway is one more resource that we need to create. Okay, so time being, just forget about the route table. Before the route table, we should be talking about the internet gateway. Now internet gateway is what the name itself is suggesting. Just think about the name. What internet gateway is like telling us, the name of the resource is what? It is the internet gateway. So don't you think it is like something providing the internet to us? So yes, that's what it does. Okay, that's what it does. So internet gateway is going to provide the internet connection to your VPC. Till the time we have not connected with the internet, okay, like there's no way that we are connected to your VPC is connected to internet. It's completely isolated. Okay, so here I'm going to explain you this way, that let me create one EC2 machine here in the first subnet. Okay, now you are going to create the EC2 server in your public subnet. Okay, like now yet those are neither public, neither the private one. Okay, I will explain you about those, but just now think in this way. We are going to create the subnet here in the first 1A subnet. Okay, so let's create one. So I will go here, and I will look for the EC2. Okay, now this is the place where we need to launch the EC2 machine. Okay, this is a place where we need to launch the EC2 machine, and now this time we are going to launch the EC2 machine here in this particular custom VPC, the one which we have created, and a custom subnet. So let's go and do that one. So just say launch instance. Okay, now where exactly the difference occur? Just focus on that. Let's give some random name. Let's say web app. Okay, I'm gonna say that, like, in the future it's going to be public one. So that's as I'm saying web app public. Next thing, it's asking me to choose operating system. So let it be the Amazon Linux. T2 Micro is we are good with to go with, and a key pair. Okay, so key pair I'm going to select as Linux Tamer 111. Now this is a place is about the VP setting. Okay, just look at. Now this setting we have to make sure that you change it when you're launching the things in a specific VPC. So let me go and say edit. Here VP setting, it's a web app VPC that I have selected. Then under the subnet, okay, under the subnet here, it is already selected as 1B, but no, we have to launch the EC2 in the 1A AZ or 1A subnet. Okay, so here instead of that, I'll go and select as a web app subnet 1A. That's my subnet name, and you can also check the AZ. It's a AP South 1A. Okay, and IP address available 251, right? So I told you that 256 out of 256 you have to subtract 5 IPs, because first last IP you cannot use. 3 IPs are reserved by AWS, so the usable IPs are here 251. So that's the subnet here we have chosen. And the next thing is auto assign public IP. Like, do you want to have public IP? So just say yes, I would like to have it, and yes, that's it. So this is something we have to do with respect to the VPC change. Okay, so these are the things we have to take care of. And finally here I'm gonna say launch instance. So, okay, so only important thing was to change the VPC and change the your subnet. And one more thing here, you also have to do one thing is that when you are doing the changes, okay, the subnet and your VPC, okay, that it will ask you that do you want to have public IP. So just do auto assign public IP, just say enable. And now here this is something, the instance we have launched it. Okay, you can see that we have the instance running. And then further here you can see this is my public IP, this is my private IP. Okay, so that's my public IP and that's my private IP, we have it. So further we have to log into the instance. So let me try to log in, and want to just explain you that your instance is no more publicly available. So what I'm just want to show you is that here first of all I'll just put the command, and then I will explain you what I'm trying to explain here. Yeah, that's my public IP, and your machine is what? It's Amazon Linux you have chosen, so username is going to be the EC2-user. Depending on which operating system which machine you're creating, so as per that your username gets changed. So in Amazon Linux it's a EC2 user, in Ubuntu it is a Ubuntu. Okay, and here we are good with the command, so just press enter, and of course you won't be able to log in. And you guys know the reason. The very first reason is what is it, like here what I'm trying to do is that inside this server, okay, like inside this VPC here at this place we have created the EC2 machine, and from this PC, okay, from this laptop we are trying to connect to this EC2 server, and then this EC2 server is not allowing us to log in. Like somehow I'm not getting the prompt, I got the connection timeout error. Okay, and why is that? Because there is no internet connection at all associated with your VPC. So for your VPC you don't have an internet connection at all. So the very first thing here, you need to fix the internet gateway, because without that you cannot have the internet connection to your VPC. So let's go and do that one. So now I'm going to create the internet gateway here. Okay, I'm going to create the internet gateway. So let's go and create the internet gateway. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create the internet gateway, and like on the VPC page itself, Okay, on the VPC page itself, you can see here internet gateway, we have the option. So just click on that and let's create an internet gateway. Okay, so provide some name to your internet gateway. Let's say it is something web app internet gateway. Okay, so you have provided some internet gateway name and just say create internet gateway, and you need to attach this internet gateway to your VPC. So just go to action and attach to VPC. You have here the web app, that's your VPC to which you just need to attach your internet gateway. Just say attach internet gateway. Okay, so you're done with one thing. You're done with the very first thing, that providing the internet connection to your VPC is something done. Is there any question, guys, you have here till the time? Any questions with respect to internet gateway? Any questions, guys? No questions?
No
Okay,
questions, Amar.
okay, fine. So let's move ahead. Here further, that we are done with the internet gateway creation, but still it is not going to resolve the issue. Okay, I'll just prove it to you. I just press enter one more time, but you see I'm still not able to connect to my EC2 machine. And what is the reason? So here comes the route table into the picture. Okay, route tables comes into the picture. So basically what happens here is that as I mentioned that when you create a VPC, so along with that one route table also gets created. By default route table we say, okay, or you say the main route table. This particular route table is what? It's a main route table. Why? Because it got created when you create a VPC, and this main route table you cannot delete. You cannot delete this main route table. When you delete VPC, along with that main route table will also get deleted. Okay, so this something, the route table comes along with this VPC is what the main route table we have. So whenever you create a VPC, so there you always get one main route table. Okay, and then like how you can check that. So let me show you. Here on the same VPC page, we can just go to this route table section, and if you click there, okay, you can see that we have the two route table. Now why two? Okay, just think, we have the two VPCs. One is the default VPC, one is the web app VPC. So they must be, from like two VPCs, so two route table. Okay, something like that you can just assume. Let's go and check. So here you can see that this is something your default VPC is, and this is the one web app VPC is. And just look at the main flag. Okay, at both place they have written, like we have written as a yes, means what? Both of this route table are the main route table. Okay, both of the route tables are the main route table, so you have created both route tables as main. Now this route table you have not created, it got created at the time of VPC creations, and that's the reason this route table gets attached to all of your subnets. Okay, so whichever the subnets you have, like 1A, 1B, and 1C, for all of these subnets you only have this is what the route table you have it. Okay, so let me prove that point as well. So if you go to the route table and if you just like see the details here, inside that we have one subnet association tab. Just click there, and if I scroll down, you can see there we have something called as a subnets without explicit association. Okay, means what? Like in English meaning, what does it mean? That when you have not declared, okay, when you have not declared that which subnet should get assigned to which route table, in that case it will get associated with the main route table. Okay, you can see the following subnets have not been explicitly associated with any route table, and that's the reason they are associated with the main route table. Okay, so when you are not assigning your subnet, like as soon as you have created, so they are not assigned. So now you have to assign. Okay, like you can do that one. And in this case, right now we just have the one main route table. Now here, if I check the routes of the main route table, we just have the local targeted route, and that's like a it's a public sorry, it's a private VPC CADR value, that what you see here, and the target is local. Okay, so this is the only route we have, and because of which you are not able to access the internet. Okay, because of which you're not able to access the internet. And if you just want that your all the VPC like all the your subnet should get the internet, you can simply go to this edit route. Okay, and then what you have to do is you just need to add the internet gateway route. Okay, like here, so in the route table what you need to do is here you just need to add the route, simple route, that is a 0 0 0 0/0, means what, it's an internet route, like any IP. Whenever this EC2 is trying to reach out to any IP, just forward the traffic to the internet gateway. So this is something the route we have to add. Okay, this is something route here we have to add, and you can say it. Okay, just say add route here, say internet route, and then here you can mention the internet gateway, that just forward the traffic, target is going to be internet gateway, forward the traffic to the web app internet gateway, this is the one, and just say save changes. Okay, so now here you are done attaching the internet gateway. Okay, here you are done attaching the your internet route, like this way, in which you have added the internet route, this is the one, and forwarding the traffic towards the internet gateway, the one which you have created. Now in this case you should be able to connect. Okay, like you should be able to connect to your, so from your laptop. Okay, you can connect to your EC2 machine. So let's try that command again. Can you guys see here? We got the prompt. Okay, we got the prompt. So finally we able to successfully able to log in, and if I just say yes, then you guys can see I successfully able to log in also. So this is the way that I can fix the issue. Okay, this is the way I can fix the issue. So here they were like, we had two of the things missing. One was the internet gateway. Now internet gateway is something, a very compulsory resource, which is basically providing the internet connection to your VPC, and that's a very easy resource to create also, right? So internet gateway, anyway, you required for each and every VPC. Okay, you need to create the internet gateway. But apart from that, you have what? You have the other resource, which is the main route table. So you need to add the route entry to your VPC, and after doing that only you will be able to connect to your EC2 machine from outside. Okay, so that's the other thing you have. That's the other thing you have it. Okay, so is this clear for you all, guys? Any questions so far you have here till the time? Till the time anyone has any questions? Everyone?
No questions, Amma.
Okay, great. So that's a good that you are still with me in understanding about what is happening here, because the things are going to escalate little from here. Okay, now the next thing is that we have to understand, okay, like here till the time we have provided the internet connection to all of your subnets. And why is that? Because here the main route table, what you see, is associated with all the subnets. Okay, because main route table is associated with all of the three subnets, I have just exposed all my subnets to the public internet. Now that's not a good practice. Okay, that's not a good practice, and that's the reason here I was talking about the private and the public subnet. So in this case, my all the three subnets are the public one. Okay, in this case, my all the three subnets are the public one. But in real-time scenarios, we barely create any resource in the public subnet. Okay, we never give, we never create, like in most of the cases we always try to create the resources in the private subnet, because of course of the security reason that we don't want anyone should be coming and connecting from outside, okay, to your network. So that's the reason we always try to create a resource in the private subnet. And that's what here we are missing out, that private subnet we haven't, we are here not talking about the private subnet, whichever the all the three subnets which we have created. So those got exposed. And then why got exposed? Okay, like here, who is a culprit? Okay, if you understand the culprit, then you're able to fix the problem. Okay, try to observe, like till the time I was not able to connect, like here, if I show you, till the time, like till this, okay, I was not able to connect. So until that time I can say that my all the subnets were private one. Okay, as soon as I added this particular route, okay, as soon as I added this particular route to the main route table, my all the subnets become public one. But here what I'm actually thinking of, that I should be creating the mix of the subnets. Okay, I want a few of the subnets to be private one, I want a few of the subnets to be public one. Okay, so I just want to have a mix of instances. Okay, I just want to go with something like I just want to create all my subnets as public, or all private. Okay, not like that. Okay, I want actually the mix. Few of the subnets I want to declare as a public one, few of the subnets I want to keep it as a private one. Okay, so that's what here I'm looking for a requirement. Now whatever requirement you have, like whatever the thing you have done so far is keeping adding that route in the main route table, and that's how your all the subnets are exposed to the public internet. So this is what the default VPC behavior is. This is what the default VPC's behavior is, that you create the resource in any of the subnets, but that will be exposed to outside people, and that's the reason we don't create the resources in the default VPC. Okay, that's the reason we don't create the resources in the default VPC. We always create your own custom VPC, and within custom VPC we will be launching your all the things like EC2 instances, database, or anything like that. So here we need to understand now how we can fix it. Okay, how we can fix it and what we have to fix. So we have to consider, or we have to keep the first subnet as a public one, and we have to consider the other two subnets as a private one. So how to do that? Okay, so first of all, you guys don't deal with the main route table. You guys don't deal with the main route table. You keep the main route table as it is. You don't touch that one. Okay, so let me revert back to whatever the setting I did here. So that's my main route table, and for this main route table I have added this particular route, that's the internet route. So let me simply remove that. Okay, because we don't deal with the main route table, we will simply remove that one, and I'm going to save this one. Okay, so that's how to fix this whole route table setting. So I'll be simply creating two route tables. Okay, so that's how I'll be differentiating my all the things. So here, how I'll be doing the things, it's like this is the VPC we have. Within this VPC, this is what we have as 1A, 1B, and 1C. So what we are going to do now is we are going to create two route table, okay, by ourselves. Okay, we are going to create a two route table by ourselves. This is the one I can call as a public RT. Okay, public route table. The second one I can call as a private RT. Okay, so we are going to create two separate route table. Now public ID, here in this particular public ID, first of all, I'm going to associate this public route table is going to associate with the my first subnet. Okay, that's a 1A. Here we have one EC2 machine as well. And of course, in public ID and private ID, what is the major difference we are going to have? Like what's the core difference they are going to have? Is basically that internet route. Okay, just remember, because of that public internet route only, you're able to communicate with the outside. So that route here we need to add actually. Okay, so here I'm gonna add that 0.0.0.0/0. Okay, 0.0.0.0/0, and this one we have to the forward it, this particular entry we have to forward it towards the internet gateway. Okay, so we need to add this particular route in the public route table. Okay, and in the private route I'm not going to add this particular route. Okay, so that will make my private route the private RT, like private subnet. Okay, so that's it guys. Okay, that's it. So it's as simple as that. Here I just need to associate these two subnets with the private RT, and this subnet I'm going to associate with the public RT. Okay, and basically here internet gateway will be attached with this public RT, and that's how resources here will get exposed to the outside. Resources here will not get exposed because private RT is not communicating with anyone. Okay, so that's the one thing here we have. Further here, the next thing what we will do is that let's just create a RTs first. Okay, now we don't have the public or the private RT, so let's create the RTs first. So here you see the create route table, we have the option. So here I'm gonna say create a route table. Let's give some name here. So I'm gonna say public RT. Okay, and yeah, so I'll also say, let's say web app. Okay, web app. So that's just identity for me that this belongs to the public VPC. Okay, I mean the custom VPC, web app public RT. VPC is going to be this one, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so we're done with the one public RT creation. Let's create one more route table. Here I'll give the name as web app private RT. Select VPC, it's a web app again, and here I'm gonna say create route table. So we in total we are done with the creating the four, like we will have the four route table, but just to remember the earlier two route table we have not created. Okay, so those are the main route table. In fact, you cannot delete them. Okay, so those are the main route table, so those we cannot delete them. You can delete this, you can create whatever, you do whatever you want to do with this. Okay, so those are the other two route table you have created. One is a public one, other is a private one. You have just given the name. Further you have to do one more thing, that is this route table. Okay, this first route table public RT, the one which I have given the public RT, has to be associated with the 1A subnet. So let's do that. Okay, so here you see that this is the public route table you have, and in the subnet association you have to go, and here you need to explicitly tell to your subnet that you have to belong here. So just click on edit subnet association, and these are the three subnets you have available. Okay, 1A, 1B, 1C. Among that, I'm gonna say it's a 1A is the one that I have to associate with that public RT. So just click that and say save association. Okay, so now for your public RT, if I go and check the subnet association, you can check that in the explicit, you can see that you have added your first subnet. You have added your first subnet to this place. Okay, that's the one thing you have done. Great. Next thing is what? The same thing you have to do it for private RT 1B and 1C. And how you can do that? So you have to go to this particular route table, that's a private RT. Again, so click on subnet association, and here you're gonna add the other two one. Okay, that's a 1B and 1C. So let's add that, and then finally here I'm gonna say save association. So we have added the 1A in the public subnet, okay, and here 1B, and 1C, the other two subnets, okay, 1B and 1C, the other two subnets is associated with the private RT now. So that's something we have fixed. Okay, but still we haven't added this particular route that will make your subnet public. So let's do that well and fix that as well. So here I will go back to the public RT. Here I'll go back to public RT. On the route section, you have to go, and here you're gonna say edit route. Okay, just say add route and add that internet route. Okay, it's a 000/0. Forward the traffic to the internet gateway. Which internet gateway? The one which you have created, at web app internet gateway, and just say save changes. So finally you have added the internet gateway route here, okay, and you have associated that one with the public route table, and this is the play. Okay, this is the statement. Okay, this particular statement makes your any subnet as a public subnet. Okay, like what is actually making. So if you have understood correctly, okay, you remove this particular route, you won't be able to connect it from outside. Okay, so that's your private RT. You add this particular route, your subnet has become publicly available. Okay, so adding this particular route makes your makes your that subnet, okay, makes that particular associated subnet as a public subnet. Okay, so that's a major difference you have between your public subnet and your private subnet. Okay, you just need to add this particular route. Okay, great. And then finally I would like to, first of all, again, I would like to try to log in one more time. Let's confirm that do we able to log into that particular, like, is that everything good? And here we go. All right, so we have created a separate route table, and we have given the name as public route table. We have provided the public internet route there, to access that one, and that's how we actually able to communicate. So is this understood to you all, guys? Like, is this creating the public subnet and the private subnet, is this understood to you? Any questions so far?
Amul, one question over there.
Yes.
Instead of creating two route tables again, can't we do the changes in the main route table itself, like deleting those two subnets from the that option which was available at the bottom?
Yes, we could have that. Okay, so let's say, but see, you required a two subnet. Okay, right now you just have one subnet, that's a main route table, correct? Do you agree with me? Okay, we required, like, to satisfy your requirement, you will require at least two route table. Okay, one is associated, or like in like when we created the VPC, so in that case we just had one. So one route table cannot satisfy both the requirement, right? Public and public and the private one. Do you agree with me on this?
So basically, whenever we are creating a VPCs with public and private thing, so we will be requiring two route tables for that.
Correct. Because in one route table we need to add this particular route, and that's what your public route table we say. That will make your subnet as a public one, correct? And the other route table where we want particularly this route shouldn't be there. Okay, that route table which is associated with all subnets, so those subnets we call it as a private subnet. So in real scenarios we want to have something like a private subnet and a public subnet. To satisfy this thing, only one route table cannot satisfy that one, the main one. You get my point?
Okay, got it.
Okay, again, here if I just extend that question further, so can I add, like, instead of, so let's say one route table I'll be considered as the main one, and then further I'll create it one more route table. So is it a good practice? So again, answer is no. Why? Because see, as I've already mentioned, that main route table is what? It's a default route table. Okay, so whenever you create the new subnet, okay, whenever you create a new subnet, so that subnet by default get associated with the main route table. Okay, like, until unless you associate, okay, like here we did that association thing, right? So here I explicitly associated this particular route table with this subnet. So a route table is associated with this subnet. So until and unless you don't associate any of the subnet, so that will be assigned with the main route table. And if you add any of the route like internet route or something like that, okay, to the main route table, so that basically gets applied to all the new subnets created, okay, and that's not a good practice. And that's the reason we don't touch to the main route table. Let it be as it is. Okay, let it be as it is. But when you actually have to deal with it, route table, so just create the two routes table. One is public, other is private, and that's how you create the things. Is that clear,
Yes,
Deepak?
Amol. Yes, but one more question. See, even if I'm providing a private route table, okay. Sorry, if even if I'm not providing the private route table, the instances which are in this subnet, 1B and 1C, these will be of a private subnet only, right? When I'm not associating this with any of the things, so this would be in a private subnet only.
Okay, so you're saying that, let's say we have created uh, like we have the main route table and we have created a public RT. Now public RT, one is associated with the public RT, and the time when these two subnets, like these two subnet 1B and 1C, is associated with the main route table, and within main route table we haven't added this particular route. So is that you're saying, right? So in that case, can
No,
we
in
call this as,
main route table also we have removed this association, okay?
yes,
So,
correct. So like when we
but
don't
only
have,
have one public RT now, route table.
sorry,
My question
I
was
didn't.
like, okay, we are not considering the main route table, okay? So now we
Okay,
have only one public route table, and we have not created this private route table now. And for
okay,
the public route table, we have associated 1A, so that we can access this instance in 1A. But when we are not creating any route table, so 1B and 1C, the instances in 1B and 1C will also be in private network only, right?
correct. So in that case, let's say in a main route table, if you're not
Hmm.
adding anything internet gateway route, so basically that's like your private RT only, correct?
Okay.
Yes, so it's
Okay.
like private RT only, so you can call it as a private RT. But this is what we do actually, like we create one public RT, one private RT, and we don't touch usually the main route table. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Amol, one question. So
Hmm.
when we have created our virtual cloud, and then we are creating subnets and we are creating EC2 machines there, and we are trying to access them. So how come our subnet becomes public when that is our VPC? So how can somebody else can access our VPC, like our machines within our VPC?
So here what we are doing is that, this is something the we are creating the VPC. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now within this
Okay.
VPC we have created a subnets, and so we like see, okay, this EC2 machine which we are trying to create, like this, suppose we would like to keep it public. Okay, now that's our requirement, that one of the EC2 machine has to be publicly available. So that's your requirement is, okay, like you have to log into this machine and you have to do some performance like various activities. Now what those various activities are going to be, so that's something we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, but you need to have a public route table, you need to have a public subnet. So because of few reasons, like it's not something, let's say, when I say in most of the cases, okay, when I say that in most of the cases, that we always create the resources in the private subnet, okay, for security concerns. So yes, we like here onwards, that I'll be creating the EC2 machines here, the database here, okay, all of the resources here I'll be creating for a security reasons. But apart from that, we should have one public route table and a public subnet here. Okay, we required one, there has to be one. Okay, and now here we purposely exposing this machine, because my laptop wants to log in to this machine. Okay, and then how I can do that? So that's the reason I need to. So this is something we have a requirement. Okay, we have done that way. Did I answer your question?
Okay, so it's kind of mandatory to have one public subnet other than the private subnets.
Yes,
So
you can say that.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
so for security reasons, that I'm not getting that. For security reasons, why should we having a public subnet which everybody else can access?
Okay, okay, I'll tell you. Okay, so as you yourself tell that, is it mandatory to have one subnet, one public subnet? Like,
Yeah,
can't we just keep the all private subnet?
yeah,
So answer is that yes, we require like one mandatory has to be there. So there are there are so many reasons actually. One reason is that in upcoming sessions, that's tomorrow, we are going to learn something that how to log into the other machines and all. Okay, so when I say that these are the private subnets we have. Okay, when I say these are the private means what? From outside we cannot connect to it directly. So we have only way that how we can connect is basically via the public. So you connect here first, and then from here you connect to this. Okay, so that's a thing tomorrow we are going to learn. Okay, like this is the way we have to log into the different resources. That's the one we required. And not just that. Okay, not just that. When we are creating the resources, so let's say here I have created the EC2 machine. Now as you guys know that this machine is completely isolated. Isolated means that nobody can connect to this machine from outside. Okay, that is not possible. And this EC2 machine also cannot go outside to have a communication. Okay, so both of these communications we have restricted to this EC2 machine, and of course because of the security reasons that we don't want this machine to be communicating outside. So in such case, let's say if we have to install anything here, okay, on this machine, because after all we are creating the servers for what? We're creating the servers to deploy some application. So let's say in any case I don't want to connect it from outside, but let's say my machine wants to go outside and access the internet to download something. Okay, something software which is available on the internet, but I just want to go outside and communicate. So in that case also I require the this machine is going to go outside via your public subnet only. Okay, so this is the subnet which we have a public subnet. So I told you that actually the reasons here, but these things we are going to learn tomorrow. Okay, like why your question was why we required. So like we have many reasons for that. Okay, so the
yeah,
season it we can't just go with having all the private subnets.
sure, Amar.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Yep, so tomorrow session again is going to be very important with respect to like whatever I just explained now. Okay, so yep, this is like a continuation you can think of. Okay, so yes, as usual, like I would highly recommend you to watch today's session to have tomorrow's understanding. Okay, because tomorrow's understanding is completely based on today's session. Okay, so if somebody is tomorrow directly joining, probably they will not be able to understand what is going on. Okay, so please listen this session again, and most of you, I feel that you people were engaged, so great. Fine, so we will stop for today's session, and yeah, see you there tomorrow. So if you have any question, let me know, or we're good with to conclude the session. Any questions, guys?
No, Anmol, I'm good from mine.
Okay, fine then. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.